Anyway, hey guys, you join me here in preparation for the NEC Restoration Show, which is happening in March, and I've got bits of the Spitfire project on the bench here that I'm going to be changing over on the Spitfire. Hopefully what I'm going to be doing is polybushing the Spitfire at the NEC Restoration Show, just doing the front suspension only. I've also got the diff to fit to the Spitfire. As many of you may remember who have watched the previous videos of mine on the Spitfire project, I got the diff overhauled by Pete Cox and son. Tom Cox actually did it with me in a video, and it's really, quite a fascinating video of how a diff comes apart and how it all goes back together in a triumph. So if you've not seen it, do check it out. But today, as I said, well, the diff's actually down there on the floor. Today, as I said, I've got the right-hand side of the front suspension here as a complete unit down there. And what we're going to be doing is just today only stripping it out. If I can clean it up today, great. But the initial aim of today is literally just strip this out as a bit of a live session, because doing it as any other way might, I could do this as a whole video and strip it out, clean it up and get it all ready, and that'd be great. Sometimes it's nice doing it live because you get a little bit of, interaction with you, my followers as well. So if we just get the computer out of the way here. And of course, if you want to join in with any conversation, ask me any question or anything like that, please do go ahead. I'm here to answer questions as always, and I enjoy doing it. So, that's the front half of the Spitfire. So we've got plenty of drinks ready. Before we get started, because it is a tiring job talking to the camera. If anybody's actually got a YouTube channel, they'll understand that talking to a camera a lot does dry your throat out quite a bit. So it's important to have a good drink nearby. I'll put that down there, so I'll probably kick it over in a bit. I've not prepared this in the slightest, so this is completely and utterly live. There has been no loosening of any of these nuts and bolts, so I have no idea whether this is going to come apart, but it should be fun finding out. Well, as I said, the aim of the game today is to try and strip down this right-hand corner of the Spitfire project. What's that you say there, Simone? Thanks. You got a lot of attention back then. Yeah. Yeah, that was a really cool Mark III Cortina you got there, Simone. I mean, I quite enjoyed seeing it. And obviously, Sheldon was with you as well. So it's nice meeting up with Sheldon, because we just kind of like clicked like that. We got on like, I've never met the bloke before, but we got on like we'd never not seen each other. We've been best mates for years or whatever. But first time we met him. Right, so Spitfire suspension. This is one corner. Spitfire suspension, it all comes apart. There's a great big hub, so it's quite interesting. So obviously this bolts onto the car. You've got the lower wishbone there, upper wishbone, spring down there, and front hub. And my aim is going to be to strip apart these just lower and upper wishbones, and that's what I'm going to be taking to the NEC with me. So hopefully those are the bits that I'm going to be changing, because as people who've seen the previous Spitfire videos will know, I've already changed the shocker and the spring, so that'll all come apart. I've no idea where it's going to come apart in the car or not, the rest of these nuts and bolts, but hey, we're going to find out. This whole hub came off a Spitfire that I scrapped, and that was the registration plate of the Spitfire I scrapped to get these bits, and that was a genuine Mark III, but it was way beyond repair. So yeah, well, there's not a lot we could do about that apart from just let it be toast. The only thing I do have to hand at the moment, as I said, I've completely unprepared for this. It was just off the cuff last night. Let's see what we can do. So we've got 5 people now watching. By all means, please do join in the comments box if you want to ask me anything. Let's get these out of the way, because it seems like that's floating a bit in the video. And unlike last time's live streams, I've got a better camera, so you can actually see me a bit better, and it's not fuzzy wuzzy like what it was in the last live stream. I think I'm going to go to my van and go get some WD-40, so bear with me 2 minutes. Great thing about not really being prepared for a live stream, it makes it a little bit more realistic how real life is, because I don't prepare for stuff. I mean, come on. So, I think how are we going to attack this? Right, I think a little bit of, you get it, this stuff, I'm not being sponsored by these tools, right? This is available. There's a guy at the NEC who sells this, and it's brilliant stuff. It's like over here, but it just seems to work quite well. So I'm not being sponsored at all yet. If somebody wants to sponsor me, please let me know, because I love sponsorship to do what I do on YouTube. I'm sure we all would. But just a little bit of prior preparation. Spray all the bolts with a bit of lubrication before we go forward, and then we'll get some weapons out and hopefully strip this apart. As I say, the aim of the exercise is not really to strip out certain bits in certain orders, so it might not be taken apart the way that most people may take it apart on and off the car, because we are only having certain bits off this whole assembly, so naturally we don't need it all. So let's see what we can take off. We've got that for that. I think if we attack the lower wishbone first, I'll take that in bits. And then we'll attack the top wishbone after. I'm keeping one eye up in case anybody does want to ask me a question as I'm doing this. So I've got TR6 behind me, so you're more than welcome to ask TR6 questions or Spitfire questions or anything like that. Be nice to know who is actually going to the NEC Classic this year, because the Restoration Show versus the Classic, I actually prefer the Restoration Show because I think a lot more is on the Restoration Show as opposed to the Classic. Although the Restoration Show is always historically smaller, but it's more interesting if you're somebody like me who likes mucking about with cars. So, but then I don't just do this as a hobby, I also do it as a living. So, which is why I've got big tools like that. When is the Restoration Show? The Restoration Show, the NEC Restoration Show is at the end of March. I don't know the exact date because I can't remember off the top of my head. But if you go on Tinterweb and have a look, you'll see it's towards the end of March. It's always a nice sort of time because it's before the season actually begins. Right. What size is that? 5/8. So yeah, as I say, I'll be there at the Restoration Show with Lou the Spitfire. I've been invited by the Transport 6 to have my car there on the youth stand I mean, I'm a bit feathering it with use for now, you know, because I'm getting very close to 40 years old. But, yeah, you know, I mean, when you make friends and they want you to be on that, I'm not going to say no to having my car out. Right. So I think about power tools. They don't have help. I imagine that a lot of people do this by hand. I did for years on end. I obviously do this for a living, so I do need certain tools. But when you work in a garage, you've generally got air tools. That's why I've never really had that many electric tools. Only recently I've brought some. Right, now, a lot of these nuts and bolts, I'm going to try and save, hence copper hammer, taking these off. Because I find with original nuts and bolts that they're made out of better metal than what replacement ones are. So if we can save as much as we can with this, even the nuts and bolts, great, because they are made out of better metal. And I've found with some modern nuts and bolts, you do them up and you just keep doing them up, doing them up, and they just cheese because the metal is so rubbish. Right, here we got. I'm going to Rustivation. Yeah, I'm not actually sure whether I'm going to go to that or not. That's with I Drive a Classic Hubnut and various other people. I might go. It'll be on a whim to that. Morning, Steve. 6:20 here a.m. How you doing, David? Yeah, so I'm an hour later than what I was, so it's probably suited you a bit better there, I suppose. Yeah, as opposed to originally, I was going to start doing this Spitfire thing, as you know, in my comments on Facebook at 10 a.m. UK time. I've decided to change that because I needed to get a new webcam, and Curry's in the UK are not open till 10 o'clock, so it's sort of delayed me doing this live stream to 11 o'clock. Not that's a bad thing, you know. I mean, it is what it is. Meant I could do a few other stuff, but yeah, I've got a much better live stream camera now. Rather than using the laptop itself, I'm using the an actual live stream camera. And like anything, sometimes you get better quality stuff. You get a much better result, I suppose. Have you still got Dolomite? No, I sold the Dolomite. Actually, it's one of those. There's a bit of me glad to see the back of that car, because the Dolomite, I sold it once, and then the guy he decided he didn't want it, so he brought it back. So okay, that's fine. I'm glad I sold the Dolomite because it was to a nice young lad who really wanted it, and he's using it as his daily driver now. So that's great to think, because I wouldn't do that myself because to it and I had nowhere to store it. So sometimes you kind of got to let go of these things. So the Dolomite has now gone to a new home. I did say to the guy who brought the Dolomite off me the famous words I've said before: if ever you sell it, I might buy it back off you. But yeah, you know, I said when I had it, I didn't do a lot with it, and I'm only on this planet once. So you think, well, you know, it's much better somebody has it who does something with it than me sit on a Rover P6, a Triumph Spitfire, a TR6 behind me, and you know, various other classics. You know, there's the motorcycle. You sometimes got to think, how many cars can you do in one lifetime? And I'm not a multi-millionaire who can pay other people to do them for me. So yeah, the Dolomite's gone, and I think I'm done with what I'm done with the Triumph Dolomite. So it's all good luck to the person who's brought it off me. But yeah, that went in November. Very original car. I mean, it'd be nice to see a little bit more from it. I've never heard anything more from the chap. I know it's still on the road somewhere. But, I mean, when I brought it back, all I did was basically shove it in the garage and do nothing with it. So, which is a bit of a shame, really. Right. So far, so good. But a good friend of mine, I will mention his name actually, John Faulkner, turned around. Oh, he'll be watching this now. So he said to me, never say anything. Never, ever say anything. Because when you say things go wrong. So keep your mouth shut. So at the moment, everything's coming to bits pretty reasonably well. And I'm not saying nothing, so I'm saying nothing more in case anything goes wrong. Yeah. Right, shove that through there. And I think the next stage is I'll whip this whole hub out of the way. And we can get the next bit apart. I'm not sure if I've got any paint. I've certainly got some preparation stuff, which we can do live, depending on how well this comes apart. But that's a lower wishbone already. So people have been watching for the last 20 minutes. I believe I've been talking away for 15 minutes. We've got the lower wishbone in bits so far. Do you have an ultrasonic cleaner for things like carburetors? No, I don't. For carburetors, generally I just clean them up with stuff like brake cleaner or stuff like that. If they're that bad, I tend to send them to a chap called Edward Biddle, who rebuilt them for me, and he's very good and he doesn't charge a lot of money, which is good, which is what we like. But he only really does SU carburetors, so if you've got anything else outside of SU carburetors, like I imagine on your Ford you've probably got a Weber, then it's not really going to be a lot of use. But yeah, generally I just send to Edward Biddle. Right. Now, the car this came off, as I said, was this Spitfire here. And I know from looking at the DVLA on that car, I say, because I was the last owner of that car, because I scrapped it, it was last on the road in the 1980s. And I don't know how well it's going to come apart. But a lot of that car has lived on the Luther Spitfire. In actual fact, there's more of that car on the Luther Spitfire than what there is of Luther Spitfire. So really, technically, I should actually change the numbers of Luther Spitfire to that car. But I ain't got logbook for it anymore because I scrapped it. So, yeah. And I quite like Luther Spitfire's number plate anyway, because of obvious reasons. It says Lou, which is quite nice to have like a name like Sid Lou, or you know what I mean, a name on it. Right. These are being a little bit of a bugger, so like I'd said, don't speak too soon, because I think I spoke too soon. They don't seem to want to be coming out. Good old use for a vice, this. So there's another great thing I brought you, isn't it? You don't realise how handy a vice is, because me just whacking that up in the air there, that bolt did not want to move. But over a vice, it's nice and steady, straight out. And straight there. Now that front there don't look too bad. The great thing is I'm going to be doing this all live at the NEC. And I don't know where it's going to come apart on Luther Spitfire. So we've got to know where to cut our losses. And if the Spitfire doesn't want to come to bits at the NEC, and stuff like that, I mean, that is bent as anything. I don't think we're going to be really using that. I think that's going to see the old scrap man, this out there. But yeah, if you don't want to come apart at the NEC, then we're going to have to cut our losses on certain bits and say, I need to get home. So there's, you've got to know when to fight your battles with things. Hence why we're preparing today the NEC with these bits and not doing them at the NEC. So hopefully at the NEC it'll all, don't say it, but come apart. Yeah. So people remember 2 years ago I did the TR6 for Wayne Scott, stripped his suspension for him, and we rebuilt it, and we probably took on a little bit more than what we could chew, and some of that was down to being supplied the wrong parts, but because otherwise it was going swimmingly coming apart and going back together. But yeah, that puts a day behind, and we've only got 3 days to strip these cars and put them back together, while also talking to the crowd, and there's only so many tools you can whack in the back of a Spitfire. Hopefully my mate Connor is going to take some tools with him so we can get these cars done quite nicely and I can get on him. As I say, trying to reuse the old bolts because new nuts and bolts are made out of cheese. I'm not really that keen on using cheese nuts and bolts. So there we go. Well, that's one bit done. Anyway, that's in bits. I think we will take the bushes out as well, which means yeah, I think we will take the bushes out. In fact, or shall I? Depends. I'm going to leave this to you guys. What I'm going to do is I'm going to strip this down and wait till we've got a higher amount of people watching and say, do you want me to strip the bushes out here and now on YouTube Live, or I can strip the bushes out at the NEC Restoration Show? Because I can paint these up now and they can look lovely, or we can paint one side and have one side ready for the NEC Resto while the other side is being painted at the Resto and having these bushes stripped out. I'll kind of leave that to you in the comments box because that would be interesting to know, because I'm certainly going to do one side, but I don't know whether I'm going to do both. I might just do them both anyway, depending on how much time I've got working in and around other things, but I appear to have lost a bolt on the floor. I'll find that in a minute. Right, that can go over there as the first right hand side wishbone done and stripped. So this great big heavy beast unit is the further bits. Will you be filming work at the NEC Resto, Steve? Absolutely yes. I've spoken to Connor, who's setting up the stand at the NEC Restoration Show. I get my words out right here. I'm talking right from Open All Hours. If I can do Connor, who is organising the NEC Restoration Show, where I'm going to be displaying Lou the Spitfire. And I said to him, look, it would be quite good if we can film it. So Connor's going to be involved in it as well. It would be the first time I've ever done a video live to an audience. And I've got absolutely no idea what's going to happen whatsoever. You know, whether it's going to go right, whether it's going to go wrong. It could be an absolute disaster. But at the same time, it could be absolutely fantastic because you're filmed in front of a live audience. So I'm not, it won't be a live video as such, but it will be a filmed video of something a little bit different from the normal. I'll probably may film it on this camera here because my other cameras are a little bit, they're not great when it comes to filming indoors, which is why I do most of them filming outside because they're a little bit better. Unless I update my cameras, that is. But yes, I will be wherever possible. Right. Next stage. What should we do next? I think we'll get rid of this great big lump on the end here. Let's get rid of the shock absorber. That's quite hefty. And if somebody wants to buy these shock absorbers off me, they're more than welcome to do so, because I've no idea how good they are, and they've been stuck in my garden for about a year now. I think the only thing that's really any good about them is the top mounts there, but yeah, if someone wants to buy them off me, they'll be on eBay later for a very low fee. Probably ought to be careful getting those off, because I'm going to snap their tops. It's great watching someone live, because you know they're doing it in real time. They're doing it exactly like what you think you would be doing on your own car. Yeah. Right. They look a bit rusty, so I think I'm going to use a white brush on these. So how's your Cortina there, Simone? Have you done much to it since restoration? Have you been out and about in it? There we go. That's one undoing. Two. You've got to be careful with these, because they can be quite fiddly when they get old. 7/16. So just a reminder to anybody watching, what we're doing at the moment is we're stripping down the right hand front suspension upright in preparation for the NEC Classic, and we're going to be painting up the upper and lower wishbones, which are the bits that I'm going to be replacing for the NEC Classic, then polishing them. And as always, if you just joined in, ask any questions you like. Hopefully I will see as many as you as possible at the NEC Classic. Well, so far, I haven't had to use any heat on this, quite surprisingly, considering this hasn't been apart in 40 years. I did quite a few shows last year, but this year I need to get the wedding done. Yeah, it's understandable. Screen's gone pixelated. I don't know why that is. I mean, it's all right on my one. You might have to tune out and then tune back in again if your screen's gone pixelated, because my screen seems all right here. I know they sometimes do that on live stream. If you're watching a live stream for a while, it sometimes does go a bit funny. I'd say mine seems all right. So this hasn't been part in 40 years. You can tell proper made parts as opposed to the cheap foreign bits we get nowadays that are made out of cheese. This is proper steel. It's coming apart nicely. I kind of think that you just work it backwards and forwards when it's a bit tight, rather than use too much aggressive tools. It tends to work a bit better. Well, yeah, so far, not had to use any heat on it, which is good. I might even stick these uprights as well on eBay if somebody wants them, because they're only going to sit in my garden for 20 years doing nothing. Much better somebody has them on a Spitfire project than me just sitting on them. Not that they're a difficult bit to come across, but it's always nice to think that parts are being reused on somebody else's project. You ready to get your screen sorted there, Simone? There we go. One. Two. 3. Watching on phone is better than a laptop. I just shared your live. Oh, thank you very much. So, one spring. You see, yeah, that's been in my garden for about 2 years now. Yeah. Yeah, just covered in weeds and grass. And the only bit that's probably any good on it is that top bit there. The rest of that is pretty much scrapped. As I say, it came off a car that's been sitting for 40 odd years. But I'll stick the whole unit on eBay with the other one, and if somebody wants them, they're more than welcome to them. Apart from that bottom bolt, because I want to keep that. So that's another bit complete. Ooh. And now, just the go get this wishbone off here, and the upright there. Need to disassemble that. But we've got access to the bolts now that we've got this shock absorber out. So I'll stick it on its side. Sheldon there, Simone. I've not heard or seen much from him for quite a while. You know, I see he pops up on the P6 Owners Club quite a bit, but he's gone silent on the old social scene. Well, I say I haven't spoken to him in a little while. Straight out. It's always good when you've got man's tools, you know. Right, give that a good work. Straight out. Turned around and said, Sheldon hasn't been well. Oh, bless him. Bless him. Say hello from me to Sheldon. Yeah, I'm surprised how little rust there is on that, considering, like I said, that's been in there for 40 years. I know that's been in there for 40 years. I know the car, or what remained of it, hasn't been used in 40 years. It hasn't moved in 40 years. Because I scrapped this car during COVID. So. Yeah, well, I remember him saying that about his PC, that he was very attached to it, and yeah, it seems now that we've hit the snag. I knew there'd be one. I knew there would be one that would come and screw us. Yeah, I know he loved that P6. As I said, he was he said he's got some bits of it which he was going to restore onto another P6. So he's got the spirit of that original P6, and I think that's really nice. Yeah, it's a nice thing to do. I know that feeling because I had that feeling with my Dolomite of I didn't really want to get rid of it, but in the end I changed my mindset on that Dolomite to no longer liking it as much, and it kind of helped me get rid of it. Right. What I'm going to do is I'm going to separate this great big lump here from this great big lump here, and that will just make life easier. I mean, I can just go in there with heat and try and smack it in, but it seems to be seized in. I always said, don't speak too soon, because it'll come back and bite you, and it has bitten me. So I think we're going to get this off in the vise and try and separate this somehow. Right, now we're going to give ourselves the best fighting chance possible. Clean up threads with a wire brush. A little bit of oil. Yeah, I will be painting all the suspension parts. I don't know if I'm going to do them today. Probably not today. But I will be painting the suspension parts. So, yeah. This is going to be a bit awkward and fun because it's a ball joint. And it's not where I really want it. This is why I really usually take cars to bits on the car and not in a vise. It sometimes works, it sometimes doesn't. Most of this bit here is scrap. I'm not really too concerned if it goes peaked on, because there's only certain bits of this I can reuse. Certainly ain't going to be reusing the brake disc. But yeah, oh jeez, that's tight. Oh my word. I think I'm going to make life easy with that and heat it up. I'm not going to be reusing this ball joint. I'm not too worried about that. I mean, the brake hose certainly ain't going to be reused. It's scrap. Heat. Never go wrong with a good bit of heat. We'll get a little fire starting. Not too worried about it. Here's where the view count goes up quite a bit, where, you know, some fire happens. We all like a bit of fire. All the suspension bits, they'll all be painted up. You know, what I can do here, I'll do here, and then what I can do at the restoration show, I'll do at the restoration show, but it will create a nice sort of thing going on. So we're not worried about this ball joint because it is all just scrap. So not too worried about it. A lot of smoke. Who doesn't like smoke and fire? Primeval instinct. Told you, I knew the view count would go up. As soon as I got some fire out, people would start watching. They'd go, get it out again. People like fire. as I say, this bit is scrap, so I'm not too worried about burning it and destroying this ball joint, because it is just scrap. Setting fire to the old brake line there, which is scrap anyway. It's only the top wishbones that I'm looking at salvaging, so not too worried. Smoke, fire. So yes, that is definitely tight. I mean, that's going to be the point where I could just cut it. I don't want to scratch my toolbox too much, it's just the other side of this upright. You need to go to the garage to change Cortina's battery. Alright. You'll get Sheldon to do it. Get Sheldon to change your battery for you. So if you wasn't too far away, I'd happily come along and do that for you. Right, I think I'm going to heat the hell out of this now, because it's causing me a bit of grief. So we're going to give it some stick. Heat is a wonderful thing with it, isn't it? You know, heat, because you just eat rust and makes life so much easier. They do say, don't they? You should never heat around suspension or braking components. Live in the real world. Yeah. Rust, eh? You have to be realistic. You got to know how to apply heat. That's what I think. Anything, knowing how to do something. It's a trick to a lot of things in life. And like I said, most of this is scrap there anyway, so it's only the upper wishbones that I'm keeping. I'm not too worried about the ball joints or stuff like that. They're all being replaced. Yep. Tight that. I only think the next stage is going to be clean up those threads again. Maybe put some multi-penny fluid on it. See what happens. The thread's really good on this. Not like it's your typical rusty thread. It does keep causing me grief. I'm just going to cut it off. So I've got it far enough back now to be able to just cut it. I say it's not like I'm keeping this ball joint. burning out old bushes and stuff like that, I normally drill them out. I normally drill around the edges of the bushes, and then I tap them out, or I use a puller to try and get them out. You don't have to get a lot of smoke. Nearly there. Oops, hit lazy. There we go, success. It's out. Next stage, separating the ball joint. Really trying not to scratch me box while I do this. So what I'm going to do is do it on the bench because I don't really want to scratch my toolbox. I'm getting a bit messy on the bench with all the tools and equipment that I've got. I put the cigarette lighter to one side because I don't want to break that while we're smashing away. Ball joint splitter, brilliant little kit. We could use a proper, I have got the other ball joint splitter that you put in there, but like I said, we can use this bit because it don't matter about the bush, because it is scrap. The ball joint, if I was to save that bush at the top there, I'd use a different ball joint splitter, which I've got in my toolbox. Oh, there it is. Just to show you, I'd use that, you know, if I wasn't trying to, if I was trying to save that ball joint, but I'm not. So the only bit off this that I want to really keep, and we'll do it now because it's all part of sort of the job, is this lower trunnion, because these lower original standpipe trunnions are just much better than the new ones you get. I'd rather, it's a bit weird, but reuse a second-hand trunnion than use a new one. So if we take all this to get the trunnion out, because it won't turn a certain amount of turns otherwise. Might get lucky. Nope. Brake caliper. I might have a go see if I can get these brake calipers, try and recondition them myself at some point. because one of my calipers and my Spitfire is a bit of an oddity. It's not a match set. So again, it'll be more off of that Spitfire there that is on Lou the Spitfire. So there's more of that car on Lou the Spitfire than there is of Lou the Spitfire. Makes you wonder why did I restore Lou the Spitfire? But yeah, moment of madness. Yeah, these I kind of want to salvage. I don't want to be too brutal with this component. The brake disc we can be a bit more brutal with because it is just scrap. But these bits I'll be a bit more gentle about. Yeah. So anybody just tuning in, we're restoring the bits for Lou the Spitfire, ready for the NEC Classic, which is where I'm going to be doing bits to Lou the Spitfire live in front of a big audience, and we're going to be recording that, not as a live thing at the NEC, but it will be recorded at the NEC. There's one broken. And at the moment we've got the right hand side front of the suspension in bits for preparation for the NEC Classic. Sorry, not the NEC Classic, the NEC Restoration Show in March. Right, there we go. It's a P-clip. Brake shoes are so rusted in place. Shoes, I mean. Pads. Everything is just rusted up on this. Amazingly, the car did move. It didn't need a lot of persuasion to move when it was in one piece. Somehow I'll get these pads out so I can get the rest of this in bits. So a little trunnion out. What I love about Spitfires, everything is like miniaturised version of a TR6. They're just miniaturised. Yeah. Get in from behind the whacker. So I'm not too bothered about damaging the pads or the disc. And if the calipers screw up, they screw up. You know, it's not the end of the world. It is off a scrap car. We're only after really the trunnion and trying to keep it upright in some sort of reasonable condition. Oh, you got a TR250? Oh, sorry, wrong person. I'm talking to David, of course, yeah. Oh, nice, yeah. So, Tush, you really need to get that PI done to a state where you need me to come over and have a tinker with it. You know, so I can tune it up because it'll give me a great excuse to come over to Canada. Right. Cheers, David. Anyway, cheers for tuning in there, David. Appreciate it. Get these out somehow. Yeah. Well, as I say, you know, I'm getting in my late 30s now, and I would like to get over, I think, the 40th birthday treat to myself to Canada is probably on the cards. Which would be nice. Maybe go up in that Lancaster. Trying to decide how long I want to fight these brake pads for. How long do I want to fight these for before I kind of give up caring? As I said, this is all, most of it is scrap, so I'm only after that bit there out of it. So it's how much do you fight? So how much do you not bother fighting? Because it is most of it only scrap. Yeah, well, if you've got the TR3 to A to finish off, I'm giving you a timeline of 2 years. So, you know, 2 years on the 3A, and then you'll have to get on with the 6PI, because that's when I'd like to come over. 2 years from now. But as I say, we'll see how we get on with everything. It would be lovely to come over to Canada regardless, because I'd love to see you and Ellen, you know, and it'd be nice to exchange notes and tune up a real TR6. It's on fuel injection, you know. We don't want those weather carburetors, we want fuel injection. Of course, I would say that because I love fuel injected cars, and that's kind of what I'm known for. So, yeah, I think, you know, all joking aside, I think R6 should be on fuel injection. That's why they didn't make a fuel injection for the world outside of the emissions. Well, I suppose that's really the answer to the question there, isn't it? They can get the emissions down. But, yeah, as a fuel injection car, they are a fantastic kit, and I can understand why overseas people stick them on Webers, because you kind of crawl back a bit of that brake horsepower that they had to detune. You know, I mean, the TR6, when it went over to America, was on 104 brake horsepower, whereas in the UK was on 150 brake horsepower. That's a lot, you know, and you can crawl back a bit of that horsepower by going over to Weathers, or, you know, trying to play around with the needles and all other sorts of stuff like that. But the fuel injected cars, to me, are, you know, just, that's the way a TR6 should be. Fuel injection. I think this upright is going to require a little bit more, being a bit brutal with it, and I don't like to use the hammer, but it seems to be the only logical thing I've got left. It's a last resort, this. I'd rather not use it, but this has been stuck on here for 40 years. You've got to get it apart somehow. And it does seem to be moving. So the textbook way may be a certain way, but you can't always do it the textbook way when you're up against rust. Hooray, there we go. One brake caliper removed. So that'll be put on the spare pile. And then we've got, if we just pull that back enough, I can get the trunnion out. That plate I'm not too worried about. And that's just scrap. Pull these back. And we're not worried about getting dirt inside there or anywhere. There you go, that's all in bits. I've got to remember what's going to be scrap and what isn't. We only want the trunnions out of this. And I bet these have been greased and not oiled. And actually the good thing about these original ones is that when you oil up an original trunnion like that, the oil doesn't decide to leak out the bottom like what it does on new ones. So we can clean these up nicely. And that is that's not even a stand part one, that's a pattern part. The other one I took off the other side was a genuine stand part. But even still, 40 years old, these are going to be much better than what you get today. So those will be taken to the NEC. We'll clean them up and make the brass look nice. And then we'll fit those to the Spitfire Project. Of course, when I'm doing to a Spitfire Project at the NEC, I'll take these apart properly. But I know that on the Spitfire itself, these do come apart, so I'm not too worried about that. These are, say, the ones in my hand came off the older Spitfire that I scrapped. That one there. But, yeah. I just put this back together, just to keep it all neat. It's always good for the spares pile. Anyway, most of it is just scrap. But, yeah. There we go. That go in the spares pile. So now we've got quite a hell of a mess on the workbench. Better put those with the two nuts and bolts there. Just with the upright. Just get it all together. And now we've got half my garden on the workbench here, but we've only got two more bolts to undo. So we've got the upright here. Now this is going to be a bit interesting because we had a bit of a fight earlier with this, trying to get that off, and that is just going to be because the thread's totally gone on it. So I'll shove its old nut on it. So now they can go to the bin together. But yeah, that's stuck in there. And what I imagine has happened there is the typical thing that happens is that the bush decides to stick to the actual bolt. So we may have to cut that out, which is going to be interesting to say the least. But we'll give another quick bash at it if we can. See if we can help. I think this one I'm going to call a bit of a loss with the bolt and just go for a dead blow with a big hammer. Oh, it's gone. I was thinking I'll have to burn that out and do a lot of grief with it, but it's just gone there, so happy days. It's decided that big hammer versus that is not going to work. Happy days. So that's off. That might go on eBay later. If anybody wants for a Spitfire. and happy days. But yeah, as you see down there, what you get is a lot of rust on these bolts, and this is what happens when people don't use copper slip on these nuts and bolts. You use just a little bit of copper slip just on the bolt going in there, you don't get the rust issues going down here, and then when you come to take it to bits, you're just looking after the next person. So just have a quick go on this top one, just taking out the bush. Show how the technique of doing it. Ball joint hammer, ball end. So anybody who's got a Spitfire, this is actually quite a good little technique, this. And then what we need is ideally a drift of similar diameter. So I've got something somewhere. So this video is completely off the cuff. I just decided to do it last night. Nothing prepared at all for this video. I'll do. Little chisel will do. Right. There we go. And the bush is out. So that's one bush out that side. They're not exactly the most, they haven't exactly got the most proudest edges on them. But yeah, easy enough to remove. We'll do the same on the other side. It is better taking them out for painting anyway. So I think I will take out all of the bushes and not do them at the NEC. I'll just fit them at the NEC. But yeah, there you go, that's the old bushes. They are utterly scrap. That's the upper wishbone. Which will just make sure these nuts and bolts come undone. I may actually just keep this all in sort of one piece, but just loosen it. It's just ready for paint in the NEC. So it'll all be somewhat, yeah, I can just chuck it in the boot of the Spitfire, get to the NEC, take it a bit at the NEC, and then put it all back together on the car so I know what is what. It just makes life a little bit of organisation beforehand. If bits are a little bit together, not completely, it just kind of helps. So, but what I think I will do is I think I'm just going to get the rest of the strips out, and then I think we'll call it a day with the video of that. So there's only a little bit more to do, and then we'll go around and strip these out and clean them up and paint them on another video, because that would be, I think it would make quite a nice 2-3 part live session videos. Yep, so they're definitely turning. And what's these? Looking 1/2 inch. There we go, one upper wishbone, completely in bits, off the Spitfire Project spares. One completely scrap upper upper ball joint and the other wishbone. So that was the object for today anyway, was to strip these down. I'm going to, like I said, leave these somewhat together in one piece just to keep them together, and then nuts and bolts. So even though I know that's scrap, this upper ball joint, but it does just keep stuff tidy and together for now. It's only the upper and lower wishbones and the trunnion that we want to keep. And we will take the bushes out of the other lower wishbone while we're here. But yeah, that was
what we intended on doing. It's nearly complete.
So we've got the lower wishbone here. Once you get the bushes out of that, I think we use the same technique again, which is just loosely in vice. We might not get away with it. We'll see. Because these are a bit bigger. Take a bit more. Get them out. There you go, that's one. I'll have to clean that up a little bit on the outside for where I've missed a little bit, but so it's only really going over it with a light hammer. It's not like I'm smashing 9 bells out of it with a lump hammer. Be fine. And these are all going to be poly bushed anyway. There's a few ways you can get bushes out. You can drill each side of them. That's one way of doing it. We'll do like what I've just done there. If they've got quite a big shoulder on them, it tends to be a little bit more difficult, and I tend to drill them. But these don't really have much of a shoulder on them. So we can get away with doing that, and if enough of its internals are still there, we can pull it backwards and forwards on the vise. It does seem a shame in some ways getting rid of these original bushes, because again, quality of parts, you know, the quality of rubber you get nowadays probably is worse than the rubber that I'm taking out, but rubber degrades. So polyurethane is the only real option you've got if you want longevity of parts. There we go. That's both sides done. And that bolt just dropped on the floor. But yeah, that's, I think I'm going to call it a day at that. So that's one side, the whole of the front suspension on the right hand side in bits. And these are the bits that are going to be fitted at the NEC. I'm going to clean these up here and paint them here. So they'll all be ready for the NEC. The only thing I won't do at home is fit the polyurethane bushes. I'm going to do that at the NEC. So it's something nice to see me do. We've got the trunnion out, but that is it. I'm going to say that is today all sort of like done, all complete. We've got it all in bits. So what I'm going to do over the next few weeks is strip these out, paint them up, make them look all nice and pretty, ready for the NEC. So the trunnion's going to be nice and clean and back to its original sort of brass look. These are going to look nice, all being done on YouTube live over the next few weeks. Whether I do them during the week or when I got some free time, I'll do that. And you guys can all join in and comment in the comments box down below. We'll sort of like take it from there. But I hope you've enjoyed today's live session. As always, do like, comment and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video. So take care.